Okay. All right. I think we can get started. So hello, everyone, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us on a NELI Preschool Effectiveness Research Trial webinar. So my name is Mariella. I am the Research Officer and Project Manager for NELI Preschool. Blanche, Susan, and I are the core NELI Preschool team. I'm also really pleased to announce that I'm going to be joined by some really special guests, the nursery team at Rosebuds Day Nursery in Liverpool. They were part of our last trial of NELI Preschool and continue to deliver NELI Preschool today. They're going to be our first NELI Preschool Ambassador Nursery, and they're going to be talking more about their own experience with the program. Now, this webinar is going to focus on NELI Preschool, but particularly in the context of the effectiveness research trial. So as I go along, I'll be talking about the program, but also what you can expect from the research trial taking place in September 2024 and ending July 2025. A bit of housekeeping before we get started. Your mics and cameras have automatically been turned off. The Q&A is open, and we will do our very best to answer any queries that you might have. But if we don't get around to answering them during the next 45 minutes, we will be in touch with you to answer your query after. Just make sure that you leave your name so that we can track you down via email. Before we get going, you can expect, here's what you can expect from this webinar. Let me do this. So we've got a full agenda in the next 45 minutes. I'm going to start by introducing us, OXED, and the NELI Preschool team, as well as the NELI Preschool program. Then we're going to have a deeper dive into what the NELI Preschool program is and all of its components. We'll also cover what it means to be part of a research trial, a bit more about the trial timeline, and what is expected of settings that take part in the trial. And finally, the best part, we'll hear directly from the Rosebuds team what NELI Preschool looks like in their own nursery and all the wonderful things that they've done with NELI Preschool. And hopefully we'll have a few moments as well to do some FAQs between Rosebuds and myself. So let's get started. So NELI Preschool is brought to you by OXED and Assessment, a spin-out company of the University of Oxford. The program was created by the same Oxford research team that developed NELI, the best evidence and one of the most effective oral language interventions in the world for reception, which was rolled out to over 11,000 schools as part of the DFE's COVID-19 relief initiative in 2020. We work alongside a large team of speech and language experts, experienced nursery practitioners, and educators to make our interventions like NELI Preschool the most cutting-edge and strongly evidenced interventions globally. So, what is NELI Preschool? NELI Preschool is a new nursery-delivered oral language program for children in the year before they enter formal education. The program provides a 20-week evidence-based language intervention for all children, as well as additional target support for children who need it the most. It includes an easy-to-use and reliable assessment of language skills called Language Screen, CPD-certified training, and end-to-end support by the research team and speech and language professionals. NELI Preschool already has very strong evidence of being effective. It was widely accepted and well-loved by nurseries during its initial efficacy trial, which the Rosebuds team was a part of, in the 2021-2022 school year, which showed that the program significantly improved children's language skills. In fact, children who received NELI Preschool made 3 months additional progress compared to children who did not receive the program. Thanks to this outstanding result, we are now recruiting for a large-scale trial of NELI Preschool that we'll be speaking about in the next few minutes. So what's included in the NELI Preschool program? The NELI Preschool program comprises 4 core elements: comprehensive CPD-certified online training for all teaching staff, as well as Language Screen, a reliable and powerful tool to assess children's language skills and measure progress. It includes, of course, the intervention itself, which is a whole class enrichment, as well as additional targeted support for children with the weakest oral language skills. And of course, we're continuously supporting you to ensure that you have everything that you need throughout screening, training, and delivering the program. Let's have a closer look at each component. So children's language skills are assessed at the start and at the end of NELI Preschool using Language Screen, an app-based assessment tool. Language Screen assesses children's level of ability in expressive and receptive language, their listening comprehension skills, and their understanding of sentence structure. Scores are standardized according to age using our database of over 500,000 pupils. Language Screen flags children who are in the bottom 25%, so they can be selected for the additional target support element of the program. No specialist training is required to carry out Language Screen, and it has been proven to provide an objective measure of language ability in just 5 to 10 minutes for children in nursery. Studies have shown that language screen results correlate extremely well with a traditional 30-minute paper-based assessment that would normally be conducted by a speech and language professional. So it's an incredibly valuable tool to put in the hands of people who know their children best, you, the educators. After reassessing children at the end of the year, you can see how each child's language abilities has changed. It is also importantly used to identify those children for targeted intervention in NELI Preschool. Specifically, if you take part in the NELI Preschool Effectiveness Research Trial, we will be paying you to complete language screen assessments for your nursery class, up to £150. If your setting does not have a tablet or a suitable tablet to carry out the language screen assessments, we will provide you with one that you can keep after the trial is over to do language screen. I want to be clear that technology will not be a barrier for your setting accessing NELI Preschool during the 2024-2025 trial year. NELI Preschool also includes comprehensive 100% online training. Taking 8 to 10 hours to complete, the training can be done a few hours at a time and always picks up where you left off. It is fully CPD certified and provides opportunities to receive mentoring from the research team, speech and language experts, and other nursery practitioners. The training includes key information on children's oral language development, the techniques used for shared book reading and teaching in the program, as well as good practice in encouraging language production and active listening. There are also a series of real full sessions available to watch with detailed captioning and commentary to help promote confidence and best practice. In fact, you may find the Rosebuds team in a few of those videos as real trailblazers of NELI Preschool. A key strength of the online training is that it remains accessible throughout program delivery and beyond that, so your team can refer back to it and refresh your understanding at any time. In NELI Preschool, we encourage you to train as many people as possible and definitely everyone that works with children in nursery. Whole setting approaches help everyone get on board, support with delivery, and it creates a wonderful language-rich environment and help settings to ensure that even if someone is off, delivery can continue with no problem. It's also a wonderful way to upskill your team and create opportunities for peer feedback as you rotate the sessions. We'll touch upon this later as Rosebuds are leaders in this delivery model. Importantly, for the NELI Preschool Effectiveness Research Trial, we're going to support you to get as many people trained as possible. This means that if you're part of our intervention group, you will be paid £120 per person to train up to 5 people. Remember that all training is online and asynchronous, and you will have approximately 4 weeks to complete it. If you want to train more than 5 people, you're encouraged to add them as the training is completely free. We just wouldn't be able to pay you for those additional people. Now for the intervention itself, NELI Preschool is built around the principles of shared book reading and guided play, introducing children to richer and more structured language than they would typically encounter in spoken interactions. It also includes classic nursery rhymes and songs that we all know and love. The intervention targets the development of vocabulary skills by teaching children the meanings of words they don't know and extending understanding of those they do know. It also builds children's narrative skills, using tailored scaffolding to support them to retell story elements in their own words. The activities are designed to lead children to produce more integrated and coherent language of their own, whilst building their confidence to speak and standing them in good stead for learning and reception. NELI Preschool also develops children's active listening skills, enabling them to focus for longer periods of time. This, in turn, supports their use of language for learning, as well as the development of pro-social behavior suited to a class environment. Importantly, NELI Preschool has universal enrichment for all children in nursery, and this combination of whole class language enrichment and additional targeted support for those with the weakest oral language skills is designed to close that gap between children, while also ensuring that all children benefit from the program. Oop, that is definitely not right. Give me 2 seconds. Oop, sorry guys. There we go. All right. back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's have a look at how these sessions work in unison to create a really comprehensive and engaging program supporting the children in your nursery classroom. So whole class sessions are delivered every day by the teacher. The session materials are displayed on a screen or digital board to engage children with the book of the week using activities to support vocabulary learning and speech production. Each new book introduces 4 or 5 carefully selected special words, which are at the very center of the vocabulary learning activities. Sessions are scripted with flexibility to adapt to the ability of your class. We'll have a closer look at this in a second. During the NELI Preschool Effectiveness Research Trial, we will be having a call with you as a part of the trial registration process. One of the things we will be asking you on this call is if you have technology, including tablets for language screen and screens for the NELI Preschool whole group session. If your setting does not have a screen for whole group sessions, we can provide you with one if you are allocated to our intervention group. Children who also receive additional target support, the children with the weakest oral language skills as signaled on language screen reports, take part in 3 small group sessions and 1 individual session per week for intensive work on the new vocabulary and to support these children in developing their narrative skills and speech production by retelling aspects of the story. So what do the resources look like? NELI Preschool is a fully resourced program. The resources are brilliant, colorful, age-appropriate, and engaging for staff and children. NELI Preschool includes physical and digital resources. Here you can catch a glimpse of what the resources sort of look like. The digital resources can be accessed via our wonderful digital resources library. This virtual library includes the slides for the whole group sessions, song files, NELI's newsletter of continuous provision ideas, home learning links, and occasionally some additional materials for the week. All this is to support your planning, so NELI Preschool becomes a powerful addition to your curriculum, or if you wanted to, a foundation for a curriculum itself based on rich language. We'll talk briefly about some of these materials in a few minutes. The physical pack includes 20 books of the program, published by award-winning children's publisher Nosy Crow, some wonderful flashcards, story sequencing cards, beautiful press-out characters, our lovely Nelly the elephant puppet mascot, of course, and so much more. Once you have this resource pack, you can deliver NELI Preschool for many years to come. So I want to show you a closer look at a real example of a digital slide. We provide you with digital versions of the 20 books that make up the NELI Preschool program. This allows everyone, staff and children, to have a really large version of the story and those wonderful illustrations with lots of details. This in turn allows lots of provocations and opportunities to spark conversation. As you can see, NELI Preschool is a guided program, meaning that we support you with a script that you could follow, good questions to ask, and we even signpost the easier questions in blue and the harder questions in red. We also point out special words, both new and previous, throughout the 20 weeks. This really helps you pick up and go once you've been trained. These scripted questions have also been carefully thought out and are there to support you to ensure that your storybook reading session is as powerful as it can be to develop children's language skills. However, you will also be trained to develop your own high-quality questions using special techniques so you can follow children's leads if they want to talk about something else on the page that isn't part of the scripted program or the scripted portion of this. For example, maybe the children want to talk about the temperature of the sea here or about a potential sea creature that you might find. It's not part of the script, but if that is what is engaging them, you are welcome to follow their lead and use your training to create powerful dialogical questioning interactions. Also, for newer or less confident team members of your nursery, this scripted or guided portion is really helpful to support them to deliver the sessions and boost that confidence. And whilst this guidance through scripts continues in small group and individual sessions in the teaching handbooks, we also signpost the built-in flexibility mechanisms of NELI Preschool. For example, a good portion of the 82 special words in NELI Preschool include step up and step down words for you to integrate at your own judgment. Step up and step down words are synonyms of the special word that are slightly easier or slightly harder and can be used depending on your group of children. For example, in week 18, we have the special word lost. If you're confident that your cohort has a really good grasp on lost, you could challenge them with the word missing. If lost is too advanced for them, you could start with the word gone. Another part that is very flexible is how you support children during small group and individual sessions. This encourage icon that we have incorporated throughout the teaching handbooks means over to you. Tailor your support using the techniques you were taught in the training for this specific child or group of children. So NELI Preschool provides a basic script to follow, but the real work, the personalized scaffolding for each child or group of children, is handed over to you. The online training will teach you how to do this appropriately and confidently. Let's talk about the NELI Preschool program structure. Here's how this two-strand structure looks like in a typical week. Whole group sessions are daily, whilst targeted intervention, those small group and individual sessions, occur at a few strategic points of the week. It's important to note that this structure can be adapted to suit part-time children, PVI settings, and other circumstances. This is addressed in the training which accompanies the program, and we also offer full support and advice to nurseries that may need adaptations. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, and Rosebuds will share their own experience and how they've adapted NELI Preschool so it suits them. Now, one of my favorite parts about NELI Preschool is that it can be so much more than just an oral language intervention program, if you want it to be. It offers a high-quality language culture for the entire setting and for your curriculum. Inspired by the books, the special words, the scripted activities, staff in nurseries who trialed and do NELI Preschool reported the program has reduced staff workload by providing a lot of the planning and inspiration for continuous provision activities. Here are just a few lovely examples, and I believe some of these photos are actually from Rosebuds. And based on all the wonderful ideas that settings have come up with, we have created NELI's newsletter of continuous provision ideas. These newsletters, one of each week of NELI Preschool, gives you ideas on how to enrich your NELI Preschool program across the whole curriculum, so you can provide many opportunities to support children's language and hear those special words. In NELI's newsletter of continuous provision ideas, we've outlined the themes of the book, the special words of the week with their step up and step down alternatives, the other nursery classic stories that link with this book, and activities for all areas of the EYFS. Letting NELI Preschool spill over into continuous provision is completely optional. NELI Preschool can work perfectly well as a standalone intervention. However, this is a fun way to reduce your workload, inform your planning, and create a language-rich environment and enjoy NELI Preschool beyond the sessions. We also support you in engaging parents and carers in the program with NELI Preschool home learning links. The training also covers lots of fun and creative ways that settings have engaged parents in the program as well. We're lucky to have the Rosebuds team here today, as they are also leaders in this area, and we'll have a look at some wonderful things that they have done to promote parental engagement. Finally, I just want to take a moment to mention that NELI Preschool as a program not only shines as an evidence-based intervention, but it also fits with the latest EYFS guidance and offset curriculum expectations. The research is clear. Language and communication is a prime area of the EYFS for very good reason, as it is the foundation for all learning and socialization. Children are unlikely to just pick up words, so a guided program like NELI Preschool with structure but built-in flexibility ticks all the boxes of best practice, current research, and statutory expectations. So that's a brief look at what NELI Preschool is as a program. We will be hearing much more rich detail from Rosebuds about what the program looks like in action. But before we hear from them, I want to talk for a few minutes about something equally as important, the research trial. NELI Preschool is at this moment only being offered as fully funded spots in an effectiveness research trial. I'm going to be talking about what a research trial is, what this means for you and your nursery, the timeline of it, and I hope to make it very clear why this is how NELI Preschool is being offered as well. So let's get started. So like I mentioned, or you may have seen, we are recruiting over 300 nurseries across the country to take part in the NELI Preschool Effectiveness Research Trial. The trial is being funded by the EEF and 9 stronger practice hubs in the Northeast, East Midlands, Yorkshire and Humber, East of England, the Thames Valley, South of London, Kent, and the Southwest. There is some basic eligibility criteria that we require to fulfill in order to accept the nursery in this trial. We are welcoming both state-maintained and PVI settings. Importantly, we ask that nurseries have at least 14 children who are going to attend 15 hours or more from September 2024. This minimum number is to help our evaluators run the necessary statistical analyses needed to assess the impact of the program. As a nursery, you must also not be planning to take part in other EEF-funded programs or trials, such as Maths Champions, Early Talk Boost, the One Early Years Conversation Project, among others, during the 2024-2025 academic year. Please note that if you're running one of these programs this academic year, but not planning to next year, that's okay. And finally, you must be situated in one of the 64 local authorities we have been matched with to recruit from. You can find the whole list of local authorities we're recruiting from in our setting information sheet on our website, and I will let you know where you can find that at the end of this webinar. We're also going to be posting right now the full list of local authorities on our chat, so you can check if you want to. If you tick all of these boxes, we'd love to have you on the trial. Now, there are many types of trials, and NELI Preschool is being run as a randomized control trial, or an RCT. Randomized control trials are considered the gold standard of a lot of research and scientific fields for their evaluation design for a few good reasons. And luckily, the research team at NELI are experts at RCTs and have been conducting them for decades. And in the words of Charles, a randomized control trial sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. We take a large group of people and we randomly assign some of them to receive an intervention we think is going to be effective, and others do not receive that intervention or possibly receive a different intervention. And you may actually be familiar with this concept that is widely associated with the medical field where drugs are developed. So let's take this example. A company has just developed a new inhaler to treat patients with asthma. They want to test out how well it works. In their randomized control trial, they recruit 1,000 people with varying degrees of asthma and then randomly assign them to one of two groups. One group, called the experimental group, will have 500 people who will use the new inhaler they developed. The other group, called the control group, also with 500 people, will continue the medication they are currently using. After a determined period of time, the researchers in charge of this RCT will apply some tests to answer the main question. Does the new inhaler that was developed work better than what is currently being used to treat asthma? Because one group used the new inhaler and the other group didn't, we can compare the differences between these groups to determine how effective the new inhaler was. We also get asked a lot, why is NELI Preschool being run as a randomized control trial? And why are RCT the gold standard of a lot of research, including education? And these are good questions. Professor Maggie Snowling, one of the authors of NELI, put it beautifully when we asked her this question a few months ago. And she said, it's very easy to do some kind of intervention and look at how a child is at the beginning of the intervention and look at them at the end of the intervention and say, they've improved. Now you could actually look at 20 or 200 children at time one, reassess them at a second time, and then maybe they've both improved. But what you've forgotten is that those children have got older and they've learned all sorts of stuff, and you've not controlled for that. So the sort of evidence that looks at performance at 2 points in time with one group is not robust, because you can't find out why those children improved. And one of the reasons they have improved might just be that you've been a bit nicer to them, maybe nothing to do with the intervention. So a critical part of the RCT is the random part. We also get asked a lot, is it truly random, the assignment of groups? The answer is yes, it is completely random. And this is very important because while we could control for things that we can see or know, there are a lot of things that we cannot control for, like genetics, for example. So by randomly assigning people, or in NELI Preschool's case, nurseries to one group or another, we are ensuring that there are no systematic differences between the groups. Do you remember our example with the inhaler? Remember I said these are 1,000 people that had varying degrees of asthma, meaning that some are more severe than others? By randomly assigning them to one of two groups, we are ensuring that we are not grouping, for example, all the very severe cases in one group, comparing them with the ones that have mild asthma. That wouldn't be fair nor accurate. So by randomly assigning, when you have a large enough sample size, which NELI Preschool does, it kind of allows us to level the playing field between groups, if you will. So to summarize, this design, a randomized control trial, allows us to compare the effects of an intervention, controlling for systematic differences, so we can be confident that any changes that we observe are due to the intervention itself and nothing else. The groups are similar enough to begin with, and the only thing that strongly sets them apart is who received NELI Preschool and who doesn't. So let's have a look at what this means for NELI Preschool. The trial is taking part for one academic year only. It begins in September 2024 and it ends in July 2025. During that trial year, if you sign up to the trial, you will be one of 320 nurseries who will be participating. Your nursery will differ in innumerable ways to all the other nurseries in the trial, maybe in size and where you're located and how many children, in many, many ways. So after some initial baseline assessment, half of the 320 nurseries, approximately 160, will be randomly allocated to receive NELI Preschool during the trial year. They will be what we call our intervention group, like the experimental group that tried out our new inhaler. The other half, the other 160 nurseries, will be asked to continue with their normal curriculum. This will be our very important control group, like the control group who carried on with the current medication in the medical example I gave earlier. During this time, it's important to note control nurseries will not be able to take part in other research trials or funded programs because we're not comparing NELI Preschool to other interventions, we're comparing it to a regular nursery curriculum. The control group is absolutely vital to help us compare the impact NELI Preschool makes, and importantly, they will also be given NELI Preschool free of charge at the end of the trial. Something I briefly mentioned previously is that for a randomized control trial to be robust, you need a big sample size. I'm really proud to tell you that when you join the NELI Preschool Effectiveness Research Trial, you will be joining the largest randomized control trial ever to be conducted in the early years. This research trial will include 320 nurseries and over 5,000 children. It is truly something huge for nurseries and early years education. To help us answer that all-important question, does NELI Preschool improve children's oral language skills better than those who do not receive it? We have an independent evaluator, a wonderful team at the National Foundation for Educational Research, NFER, to analyze and report those results. So what do you have to do if you sign up to the trial? To begin with, we will have all settings carry out language screen in September 2024. Once that language screen assessment period is over, you will be notified whether you're an intervention or control nursery in the trial. If you're an intervention nursery, we would expect you to have team members to do the online training, deliver NELI Preschool, and as an optional but strongly encouraged activity, you could take part in case studies that the evaluators and NFER will be doing. This would include interviews, observations, attendance registers to complete, and if you do decide to do it, you'd also be paid to take part in that. If you're a control nursery, we will ask you to continue with your normal curriculum for the 2024-2025 academic year. We will also ask you to please not sign up to take part in any other research trial just during those few months. In July 2025, we will be in touch with you to say thank you for being a control nursery and then give you an offer of £1,000 or the NELI Preschool program completely free of charge for you to run the following year when we're no longer on a trial status. We at OXED would give you full support to deliver the program as well. And then finally, we would ask all nurseries to respond to NFER in the summer term of 2025, who will be doing language screen assessments with children in July 2025. The great news is, regardless of which group you're in, an evaluator will come in and do that work for you in the summer. So to quickly summarize all this information, this is what the trial timeline for September 2024 to summer 2025 looks like. When you sign up to the trial, we kick off in September, requesting that you circulate a parent information letter that you will be provided with in July to your nursery parents. Shortly after, we will ask you to carry out language screen with your nursery children. If you don't have a tablet for this, we will also be sending you a tablet to do language screen at this time. Around November 2024, the language screen period will close, and that's when NFER will be doing randomization. Your nursery will be told whether you're part of our intervention group or control group around this time as well. If you're a control setting, we'll be in touch with you in July 2025 for end-line assessment as you continue with your regular curriculum. And if you're an intervention setting, you'll be asked to put team members forward for training. You'll receive the resources and any tech you may require, like screens. And we will be running a few webinars to support you to get all prepped. Online training will be done between November and December, approximately 4 weeks to complete it. And then delivery of NELI Preschool begins in our intervention nurseries from January to July 2025 for 20 weeks. During this time, we'll also be supporting you through a series of webinars, and you will also retain access to our wonderful delivery support hub to stay in touch with other settings who are doing NELI Preschool. That includes the Rosebuds Day Nursery team and us, the research team as well. If you do decide to take part in NFER's case studies, you'd also be asked to do observations, interviews, and complete a couple of attendance registers. And in July 2025, an NFER evaluator will be in touch to arrange a time and date to come in and do language screen assessments with your children. They will be DBS checked professionals. In July 2025, as the research trial ends, us at OXED will be in touch with control settings asking whether you'd like to receive NELI Preschool free of charge to run the following year or £1,000 as a thank you for taking part in the trial. Depending on whether you break up for the summer or not, we'll be sending control settings their resources or money around August or September. In our website, oxedassessment.com/NELI Preschool, there actually is a handy infographic that you can download or print, or even save with some key dates of the trial so you can always know what to expect and when to expect it. Once the research trial ends, we hope that you will continue delivering NELI Preschool year on year, and our NELI Preschool team at OXED will be here to support you in the future as well. And finally, to wrap this up, I want to just mention a few benefits of taking part in a research trial, specifically the NELI Preschool research trial. First of all, when you sign up to the trial, you'll receive NELI Preschool free of charge, regardless of whether you're an intervention or control group. The only difference is when you receive it. So in the intervention settings, we'll be getting NELI Preschool around November 2024. Control settings will be getting it in summer 2025, but you will receive it. Next, as this trial is being fully funded by the EEF and Stronger Practice Hubs, there is no cost for your setting to take part in it. In fact, as I mentioned before, there are some financial incentives for you to take part. And again, I want to reiterate, we will provide you with tablets and screens if your nursery does not have one. You will not have to give this tech back after the trial, you get to keep it. Keep in mind that if you're allocated to our intervention group to deliver NELI Preschool during the trial, all children will benefit, including children who come in later during the year. Training for staff is also offered all year round. So if you have any team members join at any point in delivery, all you have to do is request that they get trained so they can start delivering as well. Also, something to keep in mind is that I think the early years sector is often told to embrace evidence-based educational practices. By taking part of the NELI Preschool research trial, you're going to be actively taking part in one of the biggest evidence-based educational practices ever. And you'll also find out along the way what it actually means to be evidence-based and how the evidence is actually built. The success of evidence-based intervention like NELI Reception and NELI Preschool rests almost entirely on the work that we do with wonderful schools and nurseries like yourselves, and this would not be possible without your collaboration. And in addition to that, I want to take a moment to say that research, especially big impactful research projects like NELI Preschool, are very likely to inform future policy. The research that we have done with NELI Reception is already doing precisely that. So just like in democracy, the best way to make sure that future educational policy works for your setting is to get involved and participate in research. And finally, we've reached the best parts. Let's talk directly to Rosebuds. They were a nursery that was part of our first NELI Preschool trial, and they proved to be real trailblazers and continue to deliver NELI Preschool to date. We're going to talk to them a little bit about their own experience, and then hopefully we'll have a few moments to talk about a few FAQs as well. So without further delay, here are some pictures from Rosebuds Day Nursery. I'd like to introduce Emily and Demi, I believe, from Rosebuds Day Nursery today. Would you like to introduce yourselves, your role, and tell us a little bit more about your setting, Rosebuds?
Oh, hi. I don't know if there's an issue. We did try and put our camera on, but we've had a few technical issues before we started, so
That's
I'm
all
not
right.
sure what's going on there. So I'm Emily, I'm here with Demi. So we both work in the preschool room where Nellie P is enrolled. And to be honest, it just completely transformed our room, really.
Wonderful. Yes, you guys have been running NELI Preschool actually for about 3 years, I believe. What do
Yeah.
you think of the program, and why have you continued delivering it after being part of our initial trial?
I think because the children have came on so well, it's helped massively for staff's confidence, children's confidence, rules and boundaries within the setting as well for the children. And it's part of our everyday, like in the half terms and things when we've had less children in. And normally we would stop. The children have always asked, can we have a story? Can we have the Nelly story? So it's part of the children's everyday experiences and routines as well. They really enjoy it. And as I say, just as much as the staff absolutely love doing it. I think it's something that we couldn't
live without. Yeah, we couldn't live without it now. It's just part of our preschool,
and it's part of the
continuous provision
as well now, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
It's just so good every day.
Something that I wanted to give you guys a moment to really talk about was what an amazing job you guys did with 2 things specifically. One of them was extending NELI Preschool into your continuous provision and also engaging parents and carers. So you were, and you continue to be so creative about this. And I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about all the wonderful things that NELI Preschool has helped you guys to create a language-rich environment, and how you've also gotten parents involved. Here are some real pictures from your setting. I believe this is week 7 of Cinderella, where you held the Rosebuds Ball, didn't you?
Yeah, and all the children learned how to waltz that week as well. So it builds on kind of like children's personal development and engaging with peers and things like that, because there's a lot of group activities, isn't there, that the children participate within together. And in terms of like parental involvement, that top picture on the left, that's one of our dads. So initially when the Cinderella story came along, we had a lot of like boy children that were like, oh, Cinderella's a girl story, we don't want to do it, things like that. So we were trying to kind of think of ways where we could get both female and male parents and carers involved with it. So that's one of our dads trying on the glass slipper.
Yeah, we are also like said to the parents as well, and also the children, they can come dressed up in ball gowns, outfits, anything they wanted. They could come and be whoever they wants to be, and they can waltz. So again, waltz is probably a word that they might not have ever heard. So we're introducing new vocabulary, and learning them as well. Like skipping. So this week we done skipping, and these different ways and meanings of skipping. So there's ones where you can skip without using a skipping rope. With the skipping rope, you can skip a meal. So we've been teaching them all different ways, and hearing their stories and their views on it as well is
Wonderful.
amazing.
Yeah, I think you guys have done a really good job at extending children's cultural capital as well, isn't it? I mean, when else are they going to learn how to waltz, and what a better way to learn to waltz other than Cinderella? So I want to take a moment so that you guys can also help me with a couple of FAQs. So if it's all right with you guys, I'm going to answer first from a delivery and research team perspective, but I also want to give you guys a chance to answer from a nursery perspective. So the first question we often get is, can we do NELI Preschool if we do welcome? I want to say that welcome screening and language screen are not in conflict. In fact, as they capture slightly different aspects of oracy and language, they complement each other very well, and they really give you a full picture of a child's language profile. Unlike welcome, language screen is really brief, taking about 5 minutes per child, and it's all automatized scoring, so there's no need to input data or anything like that. Anybody can carry out a language screen assessment. However, I want to be clear about this. As NELI Preschool is being evaluated in a research trial, you cannot carry out welcome intervention or any other sort of formal intervention like early talk boost, language link, that sort of thing, regardless of whether you're an intervention or control setting. Rosebuds, you guys are located in Liverpool. I believe Liverpool strongly encourages the use of welcome. How do you guys find that language screen, NELI Preschool, and welcome work together?
We think we don't think, we know that they work alongside each other very well as well. So that obviously there's a different approach to both screenings. With NELI, with NELI it's completed on the tablet, so it's a little bit more fun and interactive, and it's got a different kind of like approach and concept to it. So there's kind of like listening involved, looking involved, things like that, because with the NELI one you have to listen to a story and repeat it back and things like that, and with the welcome one it's a set of 10 questions, and it's done quite quickly, to be honest. So you can screen, but you would be able to screen both in a day. Like, we've not found that it's been overwhelming for the children or anything like that. And in terms of specific terminology, you can interlink them. So what your next steps might be on the welcome, so one that we've experienced.
So for instance, we've added part of our welcome and NELI together as part of the curriculum, so we use it in every day. So for example, for small, big, bigger, biggest,
Taller.
taller. So when we done last week, it was the 3 little pigs. We done the word build, which is obviously one of the key special words. So we built houses, and we looked at which one was the smallest, and then we looked at the tallest. So we're interlinking both together, and it works really well together. And also it learns the staff as well, I think. And it makes you realise what things you might be saying,
and it's adapted our terminology. So we've changed kind of like the way we approach some situations and the words that we use around scenarios to interlink with the welcome and the NELI.
Brilliant.
Really well together.
Great. Thank you so much, Rosebuds. The second question we often get is, have the books selected and activities considered children's cultural capital and their experiences? We have a high number of children from deprived areas with extremely limited cultural capital and experiences. So the 20 weeks of NELI Preschool have been carefully selected by the research team in collaboration with language professionals and early years educators. At the heart of the selection, we kept in mind that books are powerful because they can be these metaphorical mirrors, windows, and sliding doors. Some books were selected to reflect children's everyday experiences, like going to nursery, becoming independent, and sharing, whereas other books were selected to really stretch and expose children to really rich, diverse experiences. So personally, I've never been to the moon or seen a real living dinosaur, and yet Dinosaur Rocket in week 13 is my favorite book because I love the space and dinosaur theme. So it's so important that we start to where children are, but it's even more important to go beyond that. And something I want to point out is that during the trial year, we're going to be working with children born at the very thick of the pandemic. So it's absolutely critical they are quickly and appropriately supported and enrich their cultural capital, which we know can be done through story reading. So NELI Preschool books aim to be a great springboard for precisely this purpose. Rosebuds, I'd like to get your perspective on this. What do you make of the books of NELI Preschool?
Personally, I love Nothing Can Frighten a Bear. That's one of my favourite ones.
Week 15, yeah.
Yeah, and the children love that story as well. For the boy and the bear too, we built a seesaw. So we went out on a walk, we looked for a log, and we looked for sticks, and they built their own seesaw. So they had to work together, work as a team, and try and build their own one. So it was all child-led, just as much as it was adult-led, but they really enjoyed that. I thought that was really good too.
We've been on the bus as well. So Pip and Posy and the Bedtime Frog. Posy gets the bus to Pip's house. They have a sleepover. One of the special words, excited there, and pack. So we got the bus to the Lidl, which is our local supermarket. Some children have never even seen a bus, let alone been on the bus, because they're just so used to going in a car. So that was an experience that the children might not have ever experienced in terms of if they do have a car. So then we went to Lidl, we packed the bag in the shop. We took Nelly as well. Nelly had a little high vis on sticking out of our Outlands bag. So then we're obviously walking around the Lidl, getting the shopping and things like that. Then the children paid for it. We walked back, and then because one of the other words was excited, we had a sleepover in nursery. So we invited all the children to come in their pajamas. And we had a really, really special treat that day. We watched a clip of Pip and Posy on the screen whilst we have like little treats. Yeah, when we watched it.
Absolutely amazing. I think you've done a really good example of anecdotal examples of how NELI Preschool is a springboard for so many other things, but also expanding and getting those children exposed to so many different things is so important, isn't it? Another question that you guys have done a really good job at really embracing is, how does NELI Preschool work with very mixed attendance patterns? So we offer full support on how to tailor the structure so it suits you and benefits all your children. You guys are actually, Rosebuds, you're the ones that kind of really inspired this whole setting approach where you trained everyone. And also I think you run, because you've got children who do mornings and afternoons only, I think you run the program twice. So can you talk a little bit about how that's worked out for you, and also your delivery model where everybody rotates the sessions and how that's worked out? I think that's really amazing.
So we have 3 staff in the room, and like on one week. So for instance, Emily might do whole group. I will do small group for the week, and then Vaughn will do individual, and then we'll rotate. So the week after, Emily might do small group, I might do individual, and Vaughn might do whole group. So we're all having that turn of having a go of each group. The children that do the AM and PM, we normally read the story again, don't we, Emily, of a Wednesday, depending on what children come in. So every child gets the whole story as well. And sometimes we ask the parents, could they alternate a day, or maybe switch from the afternoon to the morning.
So initially, when we do the language screening, we know which children need that targeted intervention, so that we put our own little timetable together with including the children that need the small group session and the individual sessions. So as a whole group, we run it AM and PM, so we do like day 1 to 5 of the morning and day 1 to 5 in the afternoon, so that the all children experiencing that. And then occasionally, we've had to actually do it this time round as well, once we get the data back in terms of what children need that intervention, we speak to the children's parents and ask, are they able to swap a session, so that once it's explained to them, they know that it's benefiting them in terms of them language skills and developing the children's areas of learning. So they're always happy, kind of like to do it, aren't they? But in terms of once we've got all that in set and we've put our own little timetable together, we are really strict with our routine in terms of like being on time for things like that. But in nursery life, it's subject to change minute by minute, hour by hour, day by
The
day.
children tell us, don't
Yeah,
they?
the children are like, are we going in to do Nelly now and things like that. But obviously, because things are changed, even though we're so strict with the routine, if I'm not on whole group now, if I'm an individual group, if something happens and Yvonne's had to come out the room, she's on her, she's Senko, she's deputy manager, there's a lot that goes on. One of us just jumps in.
It's easily done as well,
adaptable.
because you've got the Nelly book there as well.
Yeah.
You have it on the screen, what you could read as well. So if you had to change there and then, if something came up, it's so easy to do.
I think so. And you guys have done such a fabulous job at both adapting the program so that the majority of the children get the best benefits out of it. We're also supporting a couple of PVIs currently and adapting the program in many different sessions. So do not worry if your nursery has very mixed attendance patterns. We have worked with all sorts of patterns before, and it has worked across all of them. This delivery model of everybody training and then rotating the sessions is also a nice way to really celebrate what the little extra special something that each member of staff brings, and exposes the children to all sorts of different storytelling styles, for example. So thank you so much, Rosebuds team, for your input on those questions as well. So what happens when you want to sign up to the trial? First of all, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now to go directly to our page. We're also going to link you to the page on the chat right now, so you can click on it directly if you want. Another way that you could sign up is to go to the link on the screen and download our setting information sheet. This information sheet will cover a lot of details covered in the webinar, and it will also have that full list of local authorities that we're recruiting from if you wish to look at that. We encourage you to read through the whole thing. Then click on Register Your Interest button and fill out the form that will ask you a few questions about your setting. Our NELI Preschool research team are reviewing expressions of interest carefully on a nearly daily basis. If your details look good and you fit our eligibility criteria, our NELI Preschool team will send you an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, for you to sign as soon as possible so that we can hold your spot. At the same time, you'll be asked to book a call with Blanche, Susan, or myself so we can gather a bit more vital information. It's only once you've had this call and sent through your signed MOU that you'll be fully recruited to the trial. It's important to note that there are limited fully funded spaces per region, and there has been lots of interest, so they're filling up fast. There are still spots available, and it's first come, first serve, so we really encourage you to send through that expression of interest, sign your MOU, and set up your call as soon as possible to get your setting signed up. And to finish, I want to give many thanks to the team at Rosebuds for joining us today, and thank you to everyone who has tuned in. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that you're as excited as we are at the NELI Preschool team for this project, something that is truly huge for the early years. If you still have a question that hasn't been answered or want to chat further about your settings involvement in NELI Preschool and the trial, please get in touch with us at nelipreschool@oxendassessment.com, or you can give me a call directly. I'm always really happy to chat with nurseries, and you can reach me at 07449 376415 anytime. If I don't pick up, you can call back later or leave me a message with your contact details, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You may also want to follow us on social media, details on this slide, for the latest updates on NELI Preschool and this, the largest trial ever to be conducted in the early years. If you want to see a bit more of NELI Preschool in action, you may also want to follow Rosebud's Instagram and Facebook page, which we often share on our own social media. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We hope to hear from you soon. All right. Thank you so much, Rosebuds.
Bye.
Bye.